Hello, welcome to the North American Phonograph Company. I'm Sean Borey. And what we have here, I'll show you before we work on it. We have a rough casting that's been trimmed with a miter box saw. You notice it has the double helix spiral, just like original blanks. I always point this out, it's probably an old hat, but see? Starts in two places. Yeah, just like an original Edison blank from the around 1900. It's made pretty much of the same materials, which is aluminum sodium stearate and hydrocarbon wax. So this is made just like the original one. This particular cylinder was from an audio interview that was done by The World and Everything in It. So that interview will come up, and I will let people know when that interview is up, and you can go check it out. The World and Everything in It. So this is some safety glasses, so we'll put safety glasses on, because these things can fly apart and and cause problems. You never know what's going to happen with a fresh blank. We got a darning needle, and we're going to trim the end, and then we will check its placement on a mandrel. Okay, so we trimmed that a little bit, and it did a pretty nice job, see? And it shows that there's no defects in the interior of the blank at all. So now we want to check it on a mandrel and see where it goes. Okay, we're still going to trim a little more off. See how that is? It's even with the end. We have to trim it a little bit more. It's best to always trim your left end first. The reason is there, on an Edison mandrel, you have a tiny bit of a raised edge here. So if it's hitting that edge totally, it will then wobble on this end a little bit. So to get it past that end, then you can check your wobble better. So this right here should be a good spot. There we go. Now, so again, looking at the structure of the wax, it is very nice structurally. No dendrites or holes or air bubbles, which is what you want. So let's check it on the mandrel again. See, you never really want this even with the mandrel, because it is pretty hot, but that is a good gap. You want a gap about that big. I could actually tell you exactly how big that gap is. It's 0.141 inches. So that's about, you want about a tenth and a half of space between and your mandrel. And it's on a really hot day. Let's say you heat these blanks up to 100 degrees. I mean, it's about that in here. But different mandrels vary a tiny bit, so you want to have enough leeway where it will be good on any mandrel that you put it on. So I'm going to check and see if I got a Columbia mandrel hidden away. Might have a Columbia one. I don't know if it's in here or not. Oh, it's somewhere else. But I also have a Columbia mandrel around. I checked too. The Columbia mandrel is a little different than the Edison one, even though it's the same taper. They made it a little shorter than the Edison mandrel, so it's a good check too. But this is a good initial check here. Okay, so all we want to do at this end is, see how it's kind of wobbly looking? We want to trim that off. So, about right there. Notice I have safety glasses on. In case something, well, there's always flying debris, even when it goes right. You always got flying debris. Now let's take a look at this end. Let's take it off. Okay, I was worried that this was a, but it's not. It's fine. But there is how our end is turning out. Yeah, I can't stress enough seasoning your wax or annealing it. This has been heated and cooled now 4 times, and it's way better than it was before. So I can't express how important it is to anneal your wax. It's probably one of the most important things to do is anneal your wax. So next we want to bevel inside of the ends. That's what I'm doing. I'm going in a little bit. It just makes a better look. Now we take this knife, we use this end. Actually not using the blade. We're beveling this end. Nice and round, see? So let's take a look at that. Bevel that end. So, see how that's nice in, you got a nice chamfer inside and then a chamfer on the outside. So that looks nice and pretty like that. So we also chamfered the inside of that. So now we want to make this end rounded. So let's see how that looks. So the ends should be shaped pretty good. Oh, that's looking nice. So there's your basic shape of your blank. Let's check it on the mandrel, make sure that it doesn't wobble. It runs really nice on the machine. See, it's over a little bit on that end. Give it a little more recording time. Fills the entire mandrel. It's got a little space there so it doesn't hit the bearing block on your machine. So that's all good. So next we polish it. We're going to polish the ends here. We use leather to do that. Should we take a look and see how it looks? I polished the ends. So they look nice and polished. See? Like an original record. So now it's time to do some rough shaving. This is a rough shaver. It's used for just roughing it to shape. So we want to put the belt on. I have oiled the top works up. And we will start then. We gotta see if it's high or low in any spots. It's probably looking for the highest spot, which would probably be about here. That first shave is always scary. Actually, did a pretty darn good job. So we see that it really kind of evened it up there. So now do it again. Just keep on shaving. Some of your these shaves are not as deep. It's a nice dark brown. So I'm kind of now going to take some deep cuts. You know, now this has glove marks on it. This is how precisely the original blanks would have been shaved. In fact, they didn't even use a sapphire cutter. They used carbaloy cutters at this stage, really. Because they didn't really care about the surface at this point. They were just trying to get the blank trued. So that's what we're doing right now. And you can just see how it is. I'm hoping it didn't crack there. You know, anything is possible, but I don't think it really did. We'll see. If it explodes on us, we'll know it cracked. But I don't think it is. I think it's just the way the wax is. We'll see. Usually if it cracks, it explodes in a million pieces. Yeah, I think it's disappearing, so it's just the way the wax was. And I'll have to do some more, you know, shape the ends a little better. It's just basically you shape the ends just to start it with. Every time you shave it, it gets truer and truer. It's starting to get under those divots. So we're going to remove the blank and see. Oh yeah, it went away. It wasn't a crack. See? It was right there. And there's a little chip there, but we'll get rid of that. See how the surface gets better? This is precisely how they made the original ones. So let's see what the size is at this point. What is the diameter of this record? Now, remember that regular blank is 2.155 inches. And we are at 2.276. So that's pretty darn thick. Let's check this end. It's 2.288. So it's really big compared to a finished cylinder. Just to show you that. You notice how as it goes in, the shave sounds better and better. It's a nice reddish brown blank. See how it's starting to actually even up more? And remember, we had what looked like a crack here, but it's gone. It was just the wax, the way it looked. And once we get it down quite a bit, we still have a lot to go. We'll take thinner shaves, but we've got to take a lot of material off the top. If you ever shaved a gold molded record, you notice that at this stage it usually tears the wax. This particular wax is doing really, really good. This follows an 1893 recipe. This is a North American formula from 1893. See how much better it's starting to look? We need to get rid of that. It'll be gone pretty soon. So we take a lot of wax off the beginning here. Yeah, here, it just gets better every time you shave it. See, that's even going away. We have some improvements. We now actually are in stereo. We are recording our videos in stereo. So, that's pretty exciting. We got a new webcam. We got a new digital video recorder. It's a Sony HD video recorder with a Zeiss lens and records in stereo sound. So that's pretty darn exciting. It's also interesting, the audio gets louder if you zoom in on something, and then as you zoom out, they bring the volume down. See how that nick is going away? And see how much better the surface looks? So, just for fun, let's see where we're at. Well, let's take a look at it. Look at how much now it's looking like a blank. So here's that little divot there. But I'll be getting these out in a little bit. We'll be getting that out. That's why I kind of leave them a little longer on the one end, is to fix stuff like that. And notice this end looks really nice. This is, oops, sorry. This is what's known as a rough shaver. So we will finish on a finer shave. But this is just to get it down to a usable place. I was going to check the size, but we'll give it a couple more passes and check the size. It's still way above anything that you can put on an Edison phonograph. So should we see where we're at with our little divot? See, it's almost gone. That little divot. And you notice there's no dendrites. Dendrites look like snowflakes. They look like, they have like, almost like a crystal pattern, like a snowflake. And when you don't want those in any blanks. That's totally horrible if you have them in there. I have finally have a method that gets rid of that. You won't find that in original Edison blanks either, the snowflake effect. They only are on modern blanks. So we've pretty much virtually eliminated it here. I won't let them go out the door with dendrites in them. I call them dendrites. I don't know what to call them. They look like little snowflakes. And see how that's getting smaller and smaller, that little divot? So, a lot of getting rid of that is actually making a very thick blank. You saw about the size when I started molding it. I started shaving it, how big it was. Now's a good time to redo the ends again, so I'm going to shut it off, and I'm going to make pretty this end back up again. Make it look nice and presentable. See how it's looking. Ah, yes, that's looking better. So we pretty that up. leather. Low. Okay. See how beautiful that looks? It looks, wow, that's nice. So now we're gonna get through that divot, and then we'll check the size. See, the divot's getting smaller and smaller. It's almost gone. It's from gloves, actually. It's from the gloves that I used to unscrew the record off the mold, and that's how they made them in the 1890s. Precisely how they did it. The only thing that's different than this is it was done in the oven. It was cooled slowly. It's very important to slowly cool your blank. See? It's getting smaller and smaller. Okay, it's almost gone. I think one or two more passes and that little divot will be gone. All this has a bag inside of it that catches the wax shavings. Okay, let's check out that divot. Where'd it go? There's just a little bit here, and a couple passes, and those will be going. I'm going to be using some really light passes now. This is the rough shaver, by the way. So that one barely touched the surface, so. There's not very many places where you could actually see a blank being shaped from a rough casting. Notice every time we shave it, it becomes quieter and quieter and better and better. The little spots are almost gone. Oh yeah. There's a chute and a fan There's like a blower motor, and it makes a vacuum and sucks all that wax shavings in. Oh yeah, and before we do that, I want to show you where we're at for size, so you know all the particulars of it. See? We're at 2.194 inches. 195. So I think actually I'm going to take it over to the other shaver. But take a look. It looks just like original blank, doesn't it? So I'll be back. I'm just gonna leave the camera on. I'm just gonna unplug the rough shaver, and we'll put the finishing shaver into position. Just bring it over here and put it in position. The finishing shaver. Sorry. I'm doing this in real time. So that way there's no funny business. Hopefully everything's going to be fine. Okay. So this is Edison shaver, a liter one. There we go. It's in place. So run some passes on it. Oh, by the way, I gotta oil our areas here before we start. Don't want to do that. Sorry. Something we didn't want to do, but that's alright. I was trying to actually eject it. Eject the so I'm making sure the bearings are all oiled. Okay, that feels real good. So, listen to that. That is a beautiful sound. When you hear absolutely nothing on a blank like that, that's a good sign. When it goes across and there's like no scraping or anything, that is good wax. It's just amazing. All right. Give it a couple passes, regular passes, and we'll call it good. When you hear nothing coming from the blade like that, where it's really quiet, that's good. It's hard to believe, but if you go over a blank without changing anything, it'll still remove material. It really polishes the surface up. Now we're going to go up for the second cut. We're going to go over it a couple times, and then we'll take a look at how this blank turned out. Clean there. Make sure the area is real clean. Oh wow. Oh wow. That is shiny. So let's take a look at this blank. You remember what it looked like at first, right? Remember how it looked at first? Well, here it is. So that's how a blank turns out. What do you think, guys and gals? Look good? I'm pretty happy with it. Let's check out and see what size it turned out. To be honest, cylinders are in the 70 range are really good. And we are good. We're at 2.179. So that offers you a lot of shaves. That's about where the original cylinders were sold at. When they sold blanks to people. It was between here and like 50 some. You'll find that most of your gold molded records and wax amberols and things like that are around 2.155 inches. And so anything over that's gravy. You can get a lot of shapings. Some of the indestructible records are actually down to like 2.125. So 2.125 up to 2.180 is the range that reproducers are supposed to be designed to take records. But always do a clearance check whenever you record on a cylinder or when you play back a cylinder. Always lift the weight up before you turn the machine on. You know, when you're taking the lift lever and lifting it down to the record, you know, your stylus down to the record, always go to the extreme left end of the record and then pick up on your weight. Make sure there's clearance where it can move up and down. That there's vertical compliance in your reproducer or recorder always. This has been a very successful video, and I thank you for watching. Thank you. If you like this, smash that like button, okay? And subscribe, because there's really no other place on the internet where you see blanks being made on a regular basis. I have lots of videos on here about making blanks, and no matter how the phonograph community may deny it, that I exist, which a lot of them say that I don't even exist. I don't know how they can do that, because I have the most presence as far as blank making on the internet, where you can actually see things being made. And I do that so for mostly for music students and for universities and sound engineers, movie industry, recording industry can find me to do work. I'm not so much worried about the collector community. They have helped and they have hindered. I'm being honest. You got half of people like what I do, and other people would rather see me disappear. And the reason is because my blanks are too close to an original, and they're too embarrassed to tell you that if it's out in the wild, they really couldn't tell the difference. And that kind of bothers them and scares them a little bit and makes them trepid. And I know I'll get comments about that for sure. But I like to make things that are very historically accurate. The real telltale sign of my blanks, though, is that they're usually longer than an original blank is. They'll fill the entire phonograph mandrel up, which original blanks do not do. So that's the easiest way to tell that it's one of my blanks. But physically, they look the same. Okay, well, have a great day and smash that like button. Thank you.